and listening to the birds, and you could be anywhere, it's just brilliant. So we need to make it as wildlife as possible, really, as wildlife friendly, and keep as many trees in there, and have like a wildlife walk or whatever, you know, something around there. I read up about the bats as well. There aren't any bat habitats on site, but there is a linkage. They do commute across there, so that would be good to keep that linkage in, I feel. So I've popped a line like Christine's done across here, so we want something to keep that going. I presume they're under the arches really, but I'm not sure where they live, but they certainly don't live in there. And the other wildlife corridor to consider is along the embankment here, because that's a massive one apparently. That's a huge wildlife corridor, everybody uses that. You can definitely smell the foxes there. And I have checked, there's no badges, there's no steps there at all, there's no footprints, there's no nothing. So we're completely safe in redesigning it, but still keeping it as a wildlife corridor. Okay?
There's the vegetation on site, which I think you all know it's quite overgrown at the moment, but there are some features that we need to consider in our design, and possibly the things that we need to consider are the things that we're going to have to keep. The first one is that the bit there that's edged in there is where there's Japanese knotweed, which basically means we can't touch that area for at least another 1 to 2 years. So what we might need to consider is whether we, in our design, whether we look to in 2 years' time what we're going to actually, we're going to put something there, or whether we're going to actually leave it and then when we're able to just plant it up. And then I'm going to use my pen and draw on. On this side, I'll draw it on, and then I'll sort of, on that side there, along that boundary, there's some mature poplars, and we should probably think to keep those because they're form part of the natural boundary between that and I think this is open area here. I was saying I think because I've only been on site once before Christmas, I haven't been since. So we would keep those, and one of the things that we also need to be aware of is if we're keeping trees, we need to think about what they call the root protection zones, which basically means that when we do any sort of construction, excavation, anything on the site, we need to make sure that we've basically barriered off the recommended zone for the actual roots of the trees. So there's those there, and then there's also the mature trees sort of along this area here, which open to the surrounding area here, and they again sort of form, there's some very mature trees in that area, so they form a natural boundary, and we should possibly be looking at keeping the ones that are mature, because as Lisa will tell you in a minute, we need to think about the wildlife. And then there's also the ones along this edge, well, down here, which again is the wildlife corridor, so again we need to think about them. So within this area, which is overgrown, there's an awful lot of self-sown trees, which what we would need to do is decide whether they need to come out. We would think that possibly the ones in this middle area here would be the ones that we would remove, so that we've got an open space to basically work with. And then more towards these boundaries here, we would look to keep some of these and create probably a natural woodland, which links to the open countryside beyond it.
I will hand over to Christine, which is going to talk about they're protected.
I think more people should eat them.
Should eat squirrel. Have you tried a squirrel? Is it nice?
It's alright.
I eat pigeon. I quite like wood
Pigeon, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wood pigeon. Oh yeah, it's very nice. But also,
I've never tried rabbit either.
No, that's quite nice. It's quite strong.
Or
flavour.
duck. Or something else.
Well, I reckon we've probably got a lot of rabbits.
Yeah.
But this time of year, I mean, our cottage line, sometimes they come out and dump all the rubbish. This is mint, is it?
Yeah, rosemary. It's got lemon balm.
It's mint.
Oh, is it mint? Yeah,
It's mint. We can take it.
and in the summertime, we have nasturtiums growing in here. And I don't know if you know, but you can eat all the parts of the nasturtium, so you can eat the flowers and the leaves and the seeds, and they're really quite hot. But if we're out, we get a lot of children coming there, school trips, and you know, you'll pick a flower and say, this is a nasturtium, and it's nice, throw it in your mouth, and they're all like, so it's just to, you know, get people thinking kind of outside.
This is rosemary. This is a bit different as well.
Yes, and the leaves,
It smells a bit like cucumber. You know what you have with lamb, roast lamb?
yeah.
I know this one here.
Right.
That's dead, I think. You have to rub it through your fingers. Yeah, no, it's the smell, yeah.
You got 3 photographers here.
Your video.